welcome to episode 9 of the Yarn Geek podcast. My name is Denise, and this is Lucy. You can find me on Ravelry as Canary Song, and on Instagram I am Kitty231. So, I'm back from Ohio. I said the last episode I thought I would record when I was there, and it just didn't happen. We were just too busy doing stuff that I couldn't find the time to record. So right now I have Lucy on my shoulder. She's probably gonna get down any second. She likes to hang out on my shoulder, but usually like when I'm walking around or when I'm in the kitchen for some reason, she always wants to be on my shoulder. I don't know why. She's been doing that since she was a kitten. So yeah, I went on a trip to Ohio this past week, and I had a ton of knitting time on the bus. It was like a 10-hour bus ride there. So I showed you guys last time that I was knitting on my Arnie and Carlos socks, and I pretty much finished the first one before I left, and then I started the second one. And when I was there, I ended up finishing both socks. So here they are. So this is Arnie and Carlos in the fall night colorway, and I knit these at afterthought heel, and I did a 2x2 rib. See, Lucy is now shaking my stand, so hopefully she'll she'll get over it and walk away at some point, but I might have to pause. Lucy, come on. Oh, Lord. Lucy, such a pain. So yeah, these are my Arnie and Carlos socks. I did a 2x2 rib, and then did afterthought heel, where you put it in the waste yarn, and then you continue knitting, and then you go back and remove the waste yarn and then add the heel. And the heel I knit out of Drops Fable that I had in a red color. And yeah, these, I felt like I flew by on these, especially since I had so much uninterrupted knitting time, that I think these took me a week to finish. So these are number 6 now from the box of Socks Cal, and now she's like digging into my arm. And I also entered these into Mina, the Knitting X Packs current Cal, which is her X Pack yarn knit along, where you knit a yarn that's from somewhere else. So these definitely count. And now I'm looking at it, I do have some slight laddering going on. I tend to have that problem when I'm knitting stockinette. I usually knit in magic loop, so I don't know if I knit these in DPNs would I have had the same problem, but it's definitely gotten better. I used to have like really large gaps, especially the first socks I've ever knit, which was only like back in September. She was napping right before I started recording. Now she woke up and decided she needed to bother me, so so yeah, I really like these, and I definitely want to knit some of their other colorways that they had. It's definitely like a rougher feeling yarn, but once I put them on my feet, I don't really mind. And they're not matching, because I was thinking about if I should try to get them to match, and then just didn't. Bless you. But then I just didn't, and I don't know, it doesn't really bother me. It bothers me more when it's a soft striping type of yarn. This is more of that full ferrule, and so it doesn't really bother me. Oh Lord. Okay. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say about these. I really want to pick up some more of their yarn. So And also on my way there, or more so on my way back, I was knitting on my Cozy Memories blanket. And now I have like 25 squares. Um, what was, I think this one, so this one I did was the Arnie and Carlos socks that I finished. This one is the Pants Croy socks that I showed you guys in my last episode, which I haven't really worked on, but I decided to add a square. And then this is, I think this is a Miss Babs yarn, and this is Nitty in color. And I think the rest of these are all, or most of these are from the swap I did with Andrea a few months ago. And most of these are her own hand-dyed yarn. And she recently posted on Instagram that she's opening up a Etsy shop, which is going to be called Super Crafty Girl. And you guys should definitely check out some of her yarn when they're posted, because I really enjoyed knitting with what she sent me. So this is Unicorn Tail. I really like the name. This one right here is Autumn Bliss. This one, I'm not sure of the name, I can't remember. This one is Trash Box. I believe this one is Sherbert. And I think this one is Bahama Breeze. And this one is Melancholy Rainbow. And then I added a square from the heel that I knit for my Arnie and Carlos socks. So this is Drops Fable. So yeah, this is a really addicting project. I definitely wanted to continue knitting on this, but I had other projects I'm working on, so I didn't want this to overtake anything else that I'm making, and I also am gonna run out of squares soon, so I'm gonna have to purchase some more minis or do some swaps. And I'm not sure how big I'm gonna make this yet. Right now I'm leaning more towards a lab blanket because I feel like if I try to make this a bedspread, it's just gonna take a long time. And like I said, I don't have that much yarn scraps or anything at the moment to use. I think I've used everything that I have so far. So yeah, I really enjoy how it's coming out. And also, recently Sharon of the Sock Shadra podcast started doing a knit along for the sock blanket, and you can look up the hashtag on Instagram is blanket bliss, I believe. And she originally said to knit up about 30 squares in I don't know what was the time period, but right now she changed the rules and just said to knit as many squares as you want, and to use the hashtag, and to post in the chatter thread on her forum, and she's gonna draw prizes from that. So yeah, if you wanted to, add squares to your blanket and then try to win a prize, so go ahead and do that. So now it's like a little tiny blanket when I fold it up. And so Lucy really likes my knitted items. When I'm drying out socks and I'm just laying them flat, she tends to like sit on them. So right now this is like the Lucy size blanket, but I'm not gonna give it to her. So my second work in progress, which I worked on a little bit when I was away, maybe I just like put in a few rows, is my Waiting for Rain shawl. So now it's getting pretty big. I added a second lace panel. So with this shawl, it gets pretty addicting once I'm in the lace section. I pretty much do it in like 1 or 2 sittings. But then it gets back to the stockinette portion, not stockinette, garter stitch portion, and it gets like a little bit, I don't know, boring, I guess. So this is where I left off like before my trip. So I'm almost ready to put in the third panel, the third lace panel. So I think I'm like 3 rows away. So I definitely want to finish this. I think this is what I'm gonna focus on the next week, because I'm knitting this for the Waiting for Rain cowl that Kristen of Yarngasm Pockets is doing, and you know the deadline is May 1st, and that's only a week away at this point, and I definitely want to, you know, enter it, and I'm like halfway done, so I like how it's turning out. And this is on Hedgehog Fibers. They're single merino base, and the colorways are Spell and Hush. So I can't wait to have the finished project. And I have this in my tiger bag that I showed you guys last week. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been working on. I haven't touched my Luca shawl at all. I brought it with me thinking that I would work on it, and I just didn't. And then I started those Dumbledore socks, and I haven't touched them at all. So yeah, I guess I'm going to talk about my acquisitions. I did purchase quite a few items when I was away, just because, you know, when you're in a new location, you want to check out what yarn stores are around, and you know you're gonna end up buying stuff eventually. So I talked about my last episode that I was looking forward to going to the Birds of the Feather yarn and fabric store, which was in Westlake, Ohio. And then when I was there, I looked it up on Google Maps to see their store hours, and then I find out that they're actually permanently closed. And then I looked up on the website, and so it was like a month after I was last in Ohio, the owner decided to retire, and she closed her shop. And so before closing, she sold the rest of her yarn supply that she had to a nearby store, which was I think at the time they were just selling like maybe paper products. So it was like a craft store, but not knitting or sewing focused. And so we went there instead, they're called Small Studio, and they're also located in Westlake. So they have most of her stock there, but it was much less quantity, and they also have like sewing classes, I believe, and they had another room where it was just sewing machines, and I think I saw somebody was sewing something. So yeah, it was disappointing to hear that store closed. But that's, the Small Studio was definitely, they were nice. And there was a woman there sitting down, knitting, and then she just was asking me questions like, am I a new knitter, and like trying to find out if I needed help, and saying that they're very helpful. And and I told her that I've been like knitting for like 8 years, and she was just like, whoa, you don't need help. But she was trying to invite me to their knit nights. I think they have one, and I just told them, I'm from New York, so I'm not gonna be able to come. But it was a nice store, and it was welcoming, and I wasn't sure what to buy. They had a lot of the same stuff that the other store already had, but I ended up buying this. So I ended up buying this skein of Heritage Cascade yarn and the sock yarn base, and I was thinking that I would divide these into mini skeins and just play around with the dye, and then use those mini skeins in my blanket. So yeah, that's my plan. So before my trip, I was on Instagram just looking around different like indie dyers, and in Instagram there's like the Explore tab, so I occasionally check on there, and I saw that this indie dyer who was located in Cleveland. So I thought, wow, that's such a coincidence that I'm going to be in Cleveland in only a matter of weeks. So I emailed the indie dyer, and the name of her shop is called Destination Yarn, and the indie dyer's name is Jean, and she was just very friendly. You know, I told her that I was going to be in the Cleveland area, and there's any chance that I can, you know, purchase her yarn in person. And so we decided to do like a meetup, and I did buy some of her yarn. And then she also invited me to come to her knit nights. They have a Ravelry group that's called Cleveland Knits West, and they meet up at this local church in like Avon, Ohio. And so she welcomed me to, you know, check out the Ravelry group. So I posted on there just saying, you know, hey, I'm gonna be in Ohio area. Is it okay if I, you know, come and knit with you guys one night? And everybody was really welcoming, and they said yes, please come. So I went with my friend Gina, who's not a knitter. She was kind of nervous. She just said, what am I going to do there? And, you know, I just told her, well, you can drop me off. But then she decided to just come along. And then, you know, so we all just sat there. I was knitting, and Gina was just like chatting with people. And, yeah, it was just very nice to like just be in another state, and then just like meeting with some knitters, and just they're just so welcoming. This is like so nice about the knitting community, that most people are very welcoming. And then so they told me, you know, if I ever come back from ever in Ohio to, you know, come back and knit with them again. And they were trying to invite Gina, even though Gina's not a knitter, and they just said, you know, and they just told her to come anyway. And Gina actually does the latch hooking, you know, but she was kind of like nervous about saying that, but everybody's very welcoming. Hi, Lucy. um, Everybody's just very welcoming. So, you know, they told her, yeah, please come. So hopefully Gina is gonna go there at some point. So back to Destination Yarn. So I picked up a couple of her skeins. And I really like the premise of her shop is like she dyes yarn based on, you know, locations. And she recently did a limited edition line that she's doing, which is Game of Thrones yarn, that's inspired by places in Game of Thrones. So I was like very, very excited to get some of her yarn because I'm a big Game of Thrones fan. And you can definitely tell that she is too, because of what she dyed, and she used like the passages that inspired her to dye this yarn. So the first skein I got from her is the Winterfell, and yeah, it definitely reminds me of Winterfell. This is the red represents the weirwood trees. I think they're in the show. I'm not sure if they're red, but in the books they are. And then, so yeah. So here's her tag. It's the back. So this is her fingering weight, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. It's 400 yards. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna make out of this. Maybe socks. I don't know. And then another Game of Thrones inspired yarn is Iron Islands. Yeah, I freaking love. I really love this yarn. So yeah, I wanted to get all. I think she had like 4 colorways, and I stopped myself from getting all of them. I think her other ones are Red Keep and the Wall. Unfortunately, I think she's not dyeing. I think since this was a limited quantity, she's not dyeing it anymore. So you might have missed your chance if you were thinking about it, purchasing them. But she has a lot of other nice yarn that you definitely should check out. And I also picked up this, which is International Space Station, which she based on a photo that she posted. It's really cool. And this is her postcard line, and which is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. So yeah, I really love this yarn. And she so kindly donated some yarn for a giveaway on the podcast. So this is Oslo, which is, I think, also a leather plus line, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards. So I think I'm gonna do an Instagram giveaway for this sometime around my episode 10. So probably in a week I'll post the giveaway on Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, please do, so you know that you can enter the giveaway. And my Instagram is key231. So yeah, I definitely want to pick up some of her yarn in the future. So since that first yarn store I wanted to go to was no longer open, I was interested to see if there's any other yarn stores in the area. And after doing a search, I found this store called River Color Studio, which is located in Lakewood. And so when we drove over there with Gina and her 2-year-old daughter Aria, and we definitely weren't expecting it to be as large as it was. When we got there, you know, Gina was ahead of me, and she let her daughter go through, and Aria just saw all the yarn, and she was like, "Wow!" Like, she's really impressed by the shop, and I think Aria's a big fan of color. And when we went to the last yarn store, she was also pretty happy just to see all the yarn. So maybe she'll be a future knitter someday. So yeah, this store was pretty. It was pretty big. Maybe had like 3 huge rooms just full of yarn, and I wasn't really expecting that. And the lady that was working there was very friendly, and she was just showing me some of the yarn, and they happened to have hedgehog there, and I was really surprised by that. And then they had the birthday cake skein, like one skein left of that yarn that I talked about recently, that colorway that I was really interested in. And I wasn't sure if I was gonna get it, but my friend Gina was like, "Yeah, you should get it. You should get it." Even though I don't have any plans for it right now. But yeah, I picked it up. So this is a birthday cake. It's a really fun color. Probably it's gonna be in a shawl someday. I don't know when. And then they also had like a section just for sock yarn, and I wanted to try some sock yarn I haven't worked with before. So I picked up this Plymouth Yarns Happy Feet 100 splash. I really like this color. It's pretty crazy. This is their lipstick colorway. I'm a fan of it. And I was thinking about taking photos when I was there, but Aria, you know, Aria's 2 years old. She was just getting a little bit, not bad, but, you know, you could tell that she was kind of getting tired of being there. And she was, like, taking yarn off the shelf and throwing it on the floor, and we were trying to put it back, and then she was just being upset because she said that, you know, that's mine. So, I didn't take any photos, but I wanted to. And, yeah, they even have, like, Stephen West patterns there, like, they're his books. They have Yodi Locatelli, her last book that came out. So, yeah, it's a pretty cool shop if you're in the Lakewood area. It was, like, maybe, like, 30 minutes from Cleveland. You should definitely go there if you haven't. And she also has an online shop where you can purchase yarn. And I was really regretting that I didn't get some Arnie and Carlos. because I just didn't, I don't know, at the time I just said, you know, I just knit with this yarn, I shouldn't buy it again, but now I'm like thinking about knitting with that yarn again, and I don't have any more, so I'm gonna have to buy some yarn at some point. And so other non yarn related or knitting related things we did is we went to the Cleveland Museum of Natural History, which is like a pretty nice museum. There was like a ton of kids there. One section wasn't really, I don't think, for younger kids like Aria, but then there's another section that had to deal with like rocks and stuff. So we let Aria run around. You know, they have like rocks on the wall, and Aria was like, you know, touching them, and they have a lot of interactive things for kids. So she really enjoyed that. And they even had a section with like an outdoor space. They have like some coyotes and other animals. It's a pretty small area. Yeah, we really enjoyed our trip there. We also went to a comic book store. It's called Carol and John's Comic Book Shop, which is in Cleveland. And that was such a nice shop. Like, you know, recently Gina's been getting into comics after seeing the last the Batman vs Superman movie. She's been really interested in Wonder Woman. So she looked up this shop and she said they had good reviews. And we went on a Wednesday, which is the day when they released the new releases. And so we got there, and the staff was like really friendly with us, you know, like greeting us and making sure, asking us if we need anything. And they even had like a little kids section where they had like a wall of like kids comics, and they had like a table with all these action figures that kids can play with. And they even had a store cat named, I think his name is Winston, who was pretty cool, and Aria enjoyed looking at him. And Aria was in the carrier, and then at some point, you know, the cat walked away, and she just was calling after him like kitty, kitty, because she wanted him to stay near her. Aria's into cats as well, since she has two of her own. And so we were there. I wasn't sure if I was gonna buy any comics. It's because I don't really buy that many comics anymore because of, you know, it's a space issue. They just take up a lot of space after a while if you have them in the boxes. But then I saw that they had the Funko vinyl pops, which are like these little like bobblehead figurines, and a lot of people are really into collecting those because they're relatively cheap, and they have like tons of characters, like even more than comic book characters. Like I've seen like Bob's Burgers, Harry Potter. They even have like wrestlers. Like it's a really broad, diverse set of characters that they carry. So I saw that they had one of Agent Carter, so I picked one up. So yeah, now I'm starting this collection. I don't know. Hopefully I won't get that big. So I really love Agent Carter. If you guys don't know who she is, she's was the love interest of Captain America in the first movie. She's in the back. And then she has her own TV show for 2 seasons. I don't know if it's been renewed or not, which is set in the 40s after World War II. And if you love, you know, that era of costuming, you definitely should check it out because she wears some like amazing outfits. And I actually dressed up as her for Halloween. I tried to make this outfit. I got as far as making the skirt, and the jacket I just couldn't. I didn't have enough time. Maybe at some point I'll tell you guys the story of that, but I'm pretty much a newbie sewer, so I really thought that I could sew this whole outfit in only like a month's time, and it just didn't work out. And my boyfriend Ryan was Captain America, so I ended up dressing up as her, but I didn't have a jacket because I just didn't have enough time. And then being that I was dressed up he was dressed up as Captain America, I don't really think people paid attention to me that much, just because Captain America is much more well known, so nobody really cared about me. No, it's not true, but you know, he definitely stood out over me. But I really enjoyed it, and maybe at some point I can figure out how to sew her jacket, which looked pretty complicated. I used a sewing pattern from the 40s. And the hat, I just bought like a hat from the Halloween shop. So yeah, and then we went to, I think another day we went to Barnes and Noble, and they also have a lot of vinyl pops. So I felt like I had to buy something for Ryan because I hadn't purchased anything for him at that point. So I got him Deadpool, which is like one of his favorite characters. So yeah. Hopefully I won't go crazy with that collection. I know some people who collect those and they have like 30 figures. I don't have the room for that. So we also went to this record store because my friend Gina is really into collecting records. So the shop was called Blue Arrow Records, and they sell a lot of, used old records, and they also have like a ton of cats. I found these guys on Instagram one day because I follow this Bodega Cats of Instagram account. uh, yeah, because I'm nuts. And so they were featured on there, and once I clicked on their page, I found that they were in Cleveland. So I told Gina about it right away, and she went out there like a few days later. And they're really reasonable prices for records. It's a really cool layout, and they also, have like in the front of the store they have like a huge cat tree, and like the cats just hang out there all day. And some of them are friendly and they come up to you. So Gina was looking in like the kids bin. They have like a bin with kids albums, and she found this and immediately gave it to me because she said I had to get it. So this is Batman. So this is from the TV show. It's from 1966, and it has music from there. So I really like the artwork on here, and I pretty much picked it up for that. Ryan has a record player. I got it for him like years ago. And I also got a Beatles album, which I did bring out to show. So yeah, that was a fun shop. I'm trying to see. Yeah, I think that like wraps up my trip there. So Gina's gonna come and visit in a few months. I'm not sure when I'm gonna go back to Ohio. So when I got back, I had placed an order with Mina from the Knitting Expat. She has a shop called Mina Makes, and I ordered one of her bags like maybe a week before I left, and it had come when I was away. So I got her. This is the Exploding Box fabric. I love this bag. It's pretty cool. And it came with some goodies. She gave me some minis, which is pretty cool of her, and some candies and tea, and a progress creeper, which I don't have, so that was pretty cool of her. So I love the placement of the bag. It's pretty cool. So yeah, I love the bag. It's really well structured. I also placed an order on Etsy before I left. The shop is called Cat's Kettle, and the indie dyer is Katrina of the Yarn 30 podcast. I heard about her podcast recently because I think she came up in my recommendations, and one episode she had titled was like the Thrifty Dyer, and she just gave tips about with dyeing, and I used her tip about using a salad spinner to like rinse out your yarn, and it definitely works. So thank you for that. I picked up a set of her minis, which is pretty cool. I love the packaging on these, and they came like wrapped in like um like a brown bag, and then wrapped with this baker's twine, which is cool. So this is her sock minis. These 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. They're like 10 grams each. I think she has her updates on Saturday, around the afternoon. So check her out. I really like her colorways, and I can't wait to put these into my blanket. So this last section I want to talk about doesn't really have to do anything with knitting, and it's a pretty serious topic. So if you're not into that, I'll see you next time. I've never really talked about this, but my mom is from Ecuador, and I'm sure you guys learned that there was an earthquake last week. It was a 7.8 earthquake, and over 500 people died. Luckily, my family everybody's safe, but other people have not been so lucky. And I felt like, me being here in the United States, I don't really know what to do. So I'm gonna ask if you guys are able to, please donate to UNICEF for their disaster relief, or their charity of choice. Just because I felt like I had to say something, because it's been on my mind this past week. It was the other day, it was my uncle's birthday, and my cousin posted on Facebook of them celebrating, and just seeing that photo just makes me feel so lucky that nothing happened to my family, but other families are not so lucky. So if you can please donate, please do. And yeah, so I think that's it for this episode. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.